So we've had these resources from the higher realms all the way sort of, I'm using the word down, but I don't really like using it, but that's the word that we usually think about, descending into the incarnation. But that's kind of a misnomer, of course. But we have these first three from the spirit, life spirit, spirit self, and the ego consciousness. But still, in these lower realms too, there's actually the world, it's the world itself. So when we come through and we're incarnating, the world itself that we experience now, in a sense, is full of beinghood. And those beings are now surrounding us in our physical incarnation. The ones on these last two levels of the astral. So surrounding the astral and the etheric, there is the world we see, the world we perceive around us. And so in a sense, we don't see the being nature of them. And we don't see the being nature of them. Why? Because our constitution is physical. Our expression, our sun expression, has the nature of the physical in it now. So even though we're doing this gesture now and expressing ourselves as etheric and astral, it is informed by the physical. And so we perceive the world around us in those terms. So that's why we don't see being in the trees and in the mineral world. You know, you can develop the capacity for that. Steiner has described, and other groups have described, what these beings are that are active in the physical. But we perceive this realm associated with the etheric and the astral according to the physical nature out of which we are gaining our expression. We are now incarnate of the flesh. Our constitution is of the flesh. And we perceive and color this world by that constitution. So here's what happens. You have this expression, sun expression, which is the human being coming out like this. And then you have this world expression of the ba and the embracing. But actually what happens, the embrace does not happen. Because, stand up for a moment. Because here's what happens. You do your sun expression like this, up and out.
All right. Okay.
Like this, the sun expression. Oh, but it pushes me away. Do it again. I come in, and you get this happening. You get this happening.
So the
embrace is never
trying to
full.
embrace, but you're saying, this is me expressing myself.
And it's pushing me away because the nature of your expression is coming up out of the physical. And my spiritual embrace then is repelled.
Nope, I'm going to be physical.
Exactly. And because you don't understand the relationship yet. And so that's what's happening. This is the activity out of which the soul evolves. And so in this interaction, out of the etheric, out of the astral in this interaction, we develop our sentient soul experience. So it's in this interaction with you, my being in the emotional and ideal level, in trying to resolve my constitutional expression out of the physical, and trying to resolve that, I develop an inner sense of my relationship with the world, which we can call the sentient soul experience. And then I also developed out of my etheric expression a relationship with the spiritual world that is that coexists with me. Now I develop my intellectual soul expression. So it's in this meeting of these two, we develop the soul expressions. First, the sentient soul expression, and then the intellectual soul expression. And the reason the sentient soul expression evolves first is because those beings are ray capacities into us first. and then the other beings ray into us. So it reverses, a little bit of reverse. We're going this way, but the incarnating forces are still in hierarchy down. We're rising up, but the incarnating forces are still radiating in the hierarchy down. From the, remember we started with the life spirit, we went to spirit self, we went to the consciousness soul period. Now the beings that are in the world at the astral level are the ones who are raying into us. That's why we develop the sentient soul first. And then the beings ray into us who are at the level of the etheric, and so we develop the intellectual soul. So we develop those soul experiences in these relationships. They only exist in these relationships between the physical momentum that's coming up through my expression and the spiritual expression. That's where the soul, our soul capacities emerge. Now, so that could be the end of everything. All growth could stop if there wasn't a way we negotiate that relationship and allow the true the embracing, to happen. This is the basic struggle of the human being, is to deal with the fact that we have this physical constitution, which is the fount of our expression in this realm. And then we have this spiritual reality, which is coming toward us and attempting to embrace and inform us and give us the resources that we have called upon, but now we're pushing the resources away because now we're unconscious to that life of that incarnation. And we only now relate ourselves to the physical development that's coming. We no longer relate ourselves. We have forgotten these beings which we ask to help us. They're coming with the buck, and we're coming with, this is who I am. You know? We're like showing off our physical nature, you know?
And like a Jewish mother, they're saying, but have you forgotten?
Exactly. You know?
I should say the stereotypical Jewish mother of jokes.
Yes. And so we need to be able to, our spiritual development is we're lucky though. We're lucky because we are awake in the consciousness soul, the ego body. Without that, of course, we would be, just as Steiner talks about, like the animal life that can do nothing with this, you know, but live in it.
So that's what we're striving to do, is not just live according to our senses and our animal needs.
Right, our etheric and astral
rise above
resources, but move out of those etheric and astral resources.
It's appropriate for children, but not
right.
when we become adults.
When we become adults, you know, as the biblical thing says, as children you did.
I thought like a child and I acted as a child.
Right, but now that you're a man or an adult, you must. And so that means becoming awake and penetrating through the illusion that our perceptions, our capacity of perception has put on the world. In a sense, it's the second. You remember how there was object permanence, and we at first we would pick up something and we would experience it and we'd drop it and it would disappear. It had no object permanence. Now we have object permanence, but we have flashes of the real nature at times through our intuition of the real nature of the object. But as soon as we turn our head away,
it's gone.
It's gone.
It went away.
And we need to keep that, to make it, to hold that picture of the real nature of it.
That's
for it to become
difficult to
permanent.
do, though.
It is difficult to do. And without doing that, we're in this relationship.
Oh, that's your struggle that you're saying.
Right. So that's the struggle that we need to work on so that we can, I do recognize you, Mom. You know, and hug me. And what happens is that, and this is the important part, because this is how the higher elements of spirit can only develop with the success of that. You cannot develop spirit self unless you're able to overcome the resistance to the forces that are coming at you in the world at the level of the astral body, the
Can
sentient
you say
soul.
that again, please?
We cannot develop, see how I have this blue connecting the astral body and the sentient soul with the spirit
The
self?
squarish one, yeah.
Well, now the spirit self raid these resources in. But for us to move on up and to have our own spirit self beinghood, to enter into, in a sense, a new relationship with these beings, we must be able to gain the support of the resources that these beings down here at the astral level are trying to bring to us that we keep pushing away. And so we have to, in our awakeness, in our ego, in our consciousness soul, redress that relationship with these beings so that we can gain the resources that then will allow us to actually lift ourselves back up into the realm of spirit self and say, oh yeah, I remember you guys, you know, and then therefore you begin to express yourself in through the capacity for spirit self and meet those beings who gave you that aid. If you can work out the relationship with these beings that are on the same level of your expression as the astral, what we call the sentient soul level. So hopefully you will be able to get through that sentient soul, which basically looks like this. It's basically if we believe too much on that the foundation of my relationship with what I perceive is basically the pain and the pleasure, the like and dislike that comes. That whole individual relationship with the perceptible world tells me the nature of that world, then we will never be able to be embraced by it.
If I believe that the way I register, that the pain and pleasure I perceive is the real thing, and that's all there is.
It tells me about the nature of the thing which I like
If
or
I
dislike.
believe that tells me about the true nature of that thing,
Right.
then I'm never going to progress to
Right.
higher realms.
Exactly.
Okay.
It seems like a conundrum though, because you can't. How do you know the spiritual world when you're in the physical body with physical perception?
Because you are awake in your ego body.
Right.
And so that gives you the capacity, if you start ordering that awake life, to perceive what is true. That's exactly the way he's been telling us the way he told us in the previous chapters. You have to start ordering. You have to not saying, oh, the way that I am different from this tells me something about it. Or the ways that I am similar to it tells me something about it. Or the way that I understand the boundary between what is it and what is me, informs me. When we think in those three terms, which are the terms of the physical, then we cannot get to the true nature of things.
We hinder our spiritual
thought and development. Difference, similarity, and self are the ways that we identify ourselves, how we are different from others, how we are similar to others, and where we begin and others end, as being the definition of the nature of other things. Then we hinder ourselves, and we must then do the specific practices which are given to order your thinking in a different way.
That's really not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, though, theoretically, it would be impossible to perceive the spirit world from the physical world until you reach the spiritual existence, or what I'm saying. Until
because we have been given. We have been given a resource for developing the organs of perception, as Steiner says. And that resource is the soul, or the feeling perception.
So it is possible.
But as long as the soul is defined more by the physical constitution, then we can't. Until it wakes up in some kind of more permanent way. That's in the way that a toddler really is not going to make much use, or not going to be able to go back and find the object. It doesn't even know that the object exists anymore. We have until we come to the point where we can remember that, there is a nature, there is an aspect of this reality which is there that we keep forgetting about.
Occasionally I grasp it, but then I forget it. But I sort of remember that there was something that I grasped one time.
Exactly.
So it seems like those various practices you talked about last time, like the self-protective measures or different traditions they're like, you're trying to create, you can't make yourself understand things spiritually. You can't make it happen, but you can try to create the conditions in yourself so that, let's say that you can accept the spiritual being's raying resources into you.
Exactly.
All you can do is create good conditions for that.
Exactly.